What is happening, guys? Welcome back to another Real Talk episode. Today we're going to be talking about the ever elusive do-it-all rifle, the evolution from my first kind of do-it-all rifle into what it is today, and then also what I'm thinking about going towards in the future. Of course, there's no such thing as a actual true do-it-all with no drawbacks. Everything has, you have to give something to get something on whatever you're ending up doing, whether it's barrel length or caliber, which we're going to talk about here shortly. But before we do, I want to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, which is Brownells. If you guys do want to support the channel, you can head over to rangedaybro.com, click the links from our discounts page, and use the code RDB10. We'll save you guys 10% off an order of 150 or more over at Brownells. So go over there, let them know I sent you. I appreciate every single one of you guys. You can reuse that code, you can share it, it's unlimited, and it saves you guys money. So thank you for supporting the channel at the same time. We also have our discounts page, sign up for our email list, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Thank you guys. And I'm going to be leaning on y'all heavily in this video because this is one of those videos where I actually haven't done the thing I'm thinking about doing. I want to get some feedback first, and I really want to put some thought into what this build is going to look like. But for right now, let's just talk about the history. What was a do-it-all rifle for me previously? And when I first started, I thought the perfect barrel length was 16 inch because that was what I had, which what the barrel length you have is the best barrel length. And we're talking about a 16 inch 5.56 gun. And that was kind of my do-it-all rifle. And then later on, it evolved into the mindset of, okay, I want to have a 10.3, which was the Mark 18 at the time, and also have a Mark 12 upper. So have one rifle, essentially like a Mark 18 rifle, and then be able to throw on an SPR upper onto it and utilize an 18-inch 5.56 barrel to reach out the distance. So that was kind of what it evolved into. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of live at right now, because it does make a lot of sense until more recently, when I realized that I can, with better glass, reach out to longer ranges with a 12.5 or an 11.5 even. The vast majority of engagement distances happening, you know, what's your 80% use case is probably within 10 yards realistically, but it's still nice to have the capabilities, and that's what we're kind of talking about today. But with an 11.5 or a 12.5, let's just grab an example right here. So let's just grab the 12.5. Well, we've seen this a ton on the channel. Let's actually go with this 12.5 right here. This is the Griffin. This is the Griffin Mark II, I believe it is. This is their Ambi Mark II. Mark II. I don't know. Mark II 12.5. That's what it's called. This is a pretty cool little rifle right here that we're going to have a full review coming out on very soon. But again, just insert your 11.5 or your 12.5 here. Even the 10.3, I've shot it to 500 yards. Now people will start to argue about the efficacy of 5.56 expanding. Well, modern ammunition is pretty incredible, and whether or not you drop somebody is not really the point. You're taking them out of the fight, which is what you want. If you want to really drop somebody at 500 yards, you're going to be sizing up to an AR-10, at least a 308, 6.5 Creedmoor or larger, and that's why the military does the same thing. But as far as like a civilian application, that's another thing to talk about, like, right? People want to talk about, if you're shooting somebody past or something, for YouTube's sake, something, anything, a target past, self-defense distances within your home, then you better have a good lawyer. Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about what the Second Amendment was intended for, which is fighting tyranny, foreign or domestic. In that case, we're talking about guerrilla tactics. We're talking about a lot of observational, a lot of holding posts, a lot of recce, reconnaissance missions, and observing larger military forces that, you want to keep an eye on, for instance. And so that's kind of what I'm gearing my stuff towards, right? That's kind of the mindset I have and when I'm preparing. Yeah, also these can be used for sport and hunting and home defense, yes, but the underlying baseline, my duty as an American, is for the Second Amendment. So just keep that in mind as we move forward and we're talking about it. So it kind of evolved from a 10.3 and an 18 to just like, dude, 12.5 can do it all, right? It actually went from that to 14.5 and then to 11.5, 12.5. Because again, when you think about like the realistic use of said rifle and whether it be breaking contact, reconnaissance, or guerrilla warfare, we're talking most likely like 200 yards and in. So why not have a rifle that is more geared towards that, that's going to be better for that, but then also can reach out if you need to with a good piece of glass. And glass is more for observation, the higher top end stuff, than it really is for shooting in a response to an ambush or something like that. But we're not going to get into all the schematics and the scenarios. I just kind of wanted to give you guys where my mindset was at previously and kind of what it's evolved to today. But I've always stuck with 5.56 because it's just the most widely available. The parts are very cheap. They're all interchangeable. And I've kind of also forgot to mention, it also evolved from like 10.3 5.56 and an 18-inch SPR in 5.56, which is very good. It's still a great setup. And my 18-inch SPR, I regularly reached out to 600 yards with it with great success. But anything beyond 600-700 yards with that thing, I mean, of course you can shoot 800, 1,000 with it. I've seen guys do it. I've seen guys shoot a mile with an 18-inch 5.56 gun. But that's not what it's designed for. So I more so moved towards larger frame AR-15s or AR-10s rather, like the HK MR-762, chambered in 308. It's a 16.5-inch 308 barrel. And so the mindset was, again, an 11.5 and or 12.5, probably an 11.5 in that case if I'm also going to be taking two guns with me on whatever mission, I guess you want to say. I'm not going to be carrying two rifles, but if I had to pick two, those would kind of be the two to check all the boxes from 0 to 1,000, right? 11.5, 5.56 gun that has greater ballistics and greater distance capabilities than the 10.3 by a small margin, but still. And then a 16-inch 308 or like an 18-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, which even then extends your range even further past 1,000 yards, or like a 14.5 6.5 Creedmoor, which is going to be even more compact. And also, one second, I'll show you guys the Griffin, or sorry, the LMT right here, because it's I gotta put those clips on. See what happens when you don't use the little securing clips. That's what happens. That's not Hold Up Display's fault. That's my fault because I'm still playing around with the setup. But this is the LMT in a 14.5 ballistic advantage 6.5 Creedmoor barrel that D. Wilson had to do some mods to get it to work with the LMT MRP upper. But this is a 14.5 6.5 Creedmoor that can, and I have yet to do it, but I witnessed him shoot this barrel to 1,000 yards. So it is 100% capable, and it still keeps a very lightweight package. And this is kind of the way I was going. I think the military is going this direction, right? This is the MRGGA, essentially. It's obviously not with the ballistic advantage barrel, but that's what LMT is doing for the military. And what the military is inquiring about is a 14.5-inch do-it-all, SDMR, right? It's not really the DMR, like the actual MRGGS sniper, the sniper version of this is a 20-inch 6.5 Creedmoor barrel, but they wanted to experiment and buy some 14.5-inch variants of this. So the only issue with this is now you have the larger frame and receiver that goes with the AR-10 because you're sizing up in the cartridge, so it needs to accommodate that. You have the added weight with that, and you have the issue of ammo and ammo capacity. This is a D50 on here, so a 50-round drum for 308. I'm pretty sure it'll work with 6.5 because they take the same standard 20-round mags and whatnot, but I don't know for sure if this will work with 6.5 or not. But essentially, this is kind of what was the next evolution. Like, okay, maybe if I had to just pick one gun to do everything with, 0 to 1,000 yards and beyond, it'd probably be like a 14.5 6.5 Creedmoor. And that is until more recently, I have been getting more into the conversation. This is what I want to talk to you guys about. And I'm not a big one. I always recommend don't buy into the new hype. Don't buy into like the newest, coolest, latest, greatest caliber, this or that trinket. Like, don't buy into it. Like, you really don't need it. And I'm still sticking to that. But because I'm a YouTuber, this is my excuse for experimenting and trying out new things, is so that I try it out so you guys don't have to. And then you can decide whether it's right for you or not. And so I've been really heavily considering, after talking to a few people that I really trust, the 6mm ARC. And the 6 ARC is, I know it's been around for some time now, and it kind of, a lot of people will argue the 6.5 Grendel is actually better than the 6 ARC, and I haven't done a ton of research to be able to say this is what 6.5 Grendel, just based off of the knowledge that I have. 6.5 Grendel is great within like 800 yards and in, depending on your barrel length, but the 6 ARC does stay supersonic. On a friend of mine's 14.5, he bought a GFR from Geisley. He told me he's getting supersonic velocities out to 1,100 yards, which is pretty impressive for fitting in a, essentially being a 14.5 AR-15 with obviously slightly larger bolt head and barrels chambered differently, obviously. But it's essentially the same weight, the same size. I know it's not exactly the same. Ammunition is going to be a little bit of a factor there, but that's the conversation I want to have with you guys. Let me rack this guy up real quick so I can focus on the conversation at hand. And so being that the video topic is the one gun to rule them all, The reason I like the 6 ARC and the idea of the 6 ARC, I haven't actually executed it yet, so I can't say I like it yet, but the idea is you keep a small frame AR-15, you change the barrel, you swap the bolt head out, and you get a new magazine, and then voila, you have a gun that now used to fit. So let's use this one. Let's use this guy as an example, because this is a rifle that has been sitting in the back of the safe for quite some time. It is a Franken build. Excuse me. Had a bunch of these parts laying around. Obviously, the nicest piece of this whole build is the RIS 3 rail, which I really do love. It has the Sons of Liberty Gen 1 barrel. This is a pin and weld 13.7 or 13, I can't remember which one. But pin and weld, Sons of Liberty barrel. So I will have to probably buy a new barrel nut in order to use the RIS 3 on a different barrel, because unless I chop that off, which I don't feel like going through the trouble of doing, I think all I have to do is just buy, somebody let me know down in the comments, I could buy a new barrel nut, I think, and keep, unless it'll fit over this. I'll have to find out. I haven't gone that far down the rabbit hole yet, but essentially, I want to take this rifle that I haven't touched in a long time and kind of reinvigorate my love for it by converting it to 6 ARC. Now, the only question is, do I want to do it? And I've kind of narrowed it down to 3 barrel lengths. I know there's others, but the 3 that I'm really considering are 12.5 and specifically the Noveske Disruptive Deep Fluting. Those are just really expensive, even though it does come with a bolt head. It's like $700 for the barrel, the bolt head. I think it comes with a gas block and a gas tube, maybe not, maybe just the gas tube. Again, I'll have to look into that. Somebody let me know. So the 12.5 Noveske, the 13.7 Sons of Liberty, which is made by Ballistic Advantage, or insert anyone else's 14.5. I really want to stick with companies that I'm aware of, that I'm comfortable with. Not to say I won't try a Faxon or try some other, Roscoe. I've heard good things about Roscoe. I'll try a Roscoe. But only ones I've seen actually in stock are the 12.5 Noveske, the 13.7 Sons of Liberty. I think I'd prefer, if I'm going to do a pin and weld, might as well get the extra little bit of inchage with the 14.5 on if I'm going to go that route, do the pin and weld route. But that's just me. The Sons of Liberty is at a really good price right now on primary arm, just like $215, or the 18-inch and do like an actual modernized Mark 12, just chambered in 6 ARC. And now the only thing holding me up from going straight 18-inch, because I no longer have my Mark 12 upper, sold it, and regrettably so, is the fact that that same friend who has the Geissele 14.5 showed me his ballistic data from his Garmin Chrono, and the difference between the 14.5 and the 20-inch at the muzzle is like 165 feet per second, which is insane when you think about the difference between a 14.5 5.56 gun and a 20-inch 5.56 gun at the muzzle. It's a much bigger difference. So this 6 ARC doesn't seem to be as affected by the barrel length as a caliber like 5.56. So that's, again, I'm like 165 feet per second. It's not meaningless. It definitely means something, but does it really mean 5.5 inches of extra barrel length to lug around and have the weight? Because essentially, if I bought that 13.7 Sons of Liberty barrel, it would essentially be this gun I'm holding right here. Just a slightly thicker barrel. It's an SPR profile, so it's thicker, a little bit front heavier, but this is already a pretty, moderately lightweight platform, the AR-15. So, I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards potentially the Sons of Liberty because it's in stock, ready to go, and I could just buy it right now. Again, the bolt, Noveske's bolt's like $145. Faxon makes one for like $68. And then I was considering putting a Superlative Arms adjustable gas block on here. I try not to go with adjustable gas blocks because I just feel like it's another failure point. Like, it's one more thing that can fail, one more moving part that can walk loose. But again, just the nature of me trying a new caliber out, I don't really know how it's going to work. I don't really know what can I'm going to run with it yet. I'd probably run it with a Ferox because it's actually a 6mm can. And I don't know how overgassed those cartridges tend to be, and how well I can tune it with just a buffer weight and spring. This is obviously rocking the Law Tactical Folder as well, which adds a little bit of weight to the moving mass. But that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to chase the ever elusive do-it-all rifle. And if I could do it in a 13.9 for like $300 plus the gas block, it'd be around $415 to convert this rifle into a working finished gun in 6 ARC. But again, there's some trade-offs there, right? The biggest trade-off is magazine compatibility. So I'd have to get all brand new magazines. which isn't the end of the world. I think I found some AR Stoner mags on Midway for like 13 or 14 bucks for 15 rounders, which isn't horrible, but then you lose the capacity again. I know Geisley is making like a 25 rounder, I believe it is. But again, those aren't even released yet, so we're talking theoreticals. So you lose the magazine capacity or compatibility rather. And I have a ton of 5.56 mags, like a ton, which, slowly buying them over time. A lot that I train with and I kind of cycle through them. But then you lose that, you lose compatibility with the ammo with 99% of Americans out there, not to mention the guys you train with. So unless everybody in your squad's running 6 ARC, there's another issue there. And then you also lose capacity as far as how much you can carry, because again, the mags are carrying less rounds and the ammo is heavier. Not quite to the extent of a 308 or a 6.5 Creedmoor, obviously, but again, I kind of think I'm willing to make all these concessions, besides the last one being like not having ammo compatibility with the guys I'm running with. If everyone's running 5.56, I'll probably, like, most likely, if a shit at the fan scenario ever happened, I'd probably still grab my 5.56 gun, because again, if you're going out into the unknown and you don't know what you're going to encounter, it's nice to know that your buddy can hand you a mag and his ammo will work with you, versus I have one gun that will only work with this ammo. Now, the alternative is you can have a 14.5 upper and an 11.5, and 6 ARC and an 11.5 and 5.56, and just keep the 14.5 in the backpack or stowed away or whatever, or vice versa. Just like we used to think, or I used to think rather, with like the 10.3 and the 18-inch SPR, maybe we could do the same thing. And the reason is the 6 ARC, going back to the reasons I'm even considering this, is because on paper, it's pretty impressive. Now, if I can get the reliability, if I can get the accuracy and the consistency, and if ammo continues to go down as far as prices go, I think I looked on Brownells, they have some 6 ARC ammo going for like $1.15 to $1.30 a round, which isn't horrible. It's definitely expensive, but it's still as cheap as those same ammunitions like the Hornady ELDMs are for 5.56, essentially, at least from when I check, Academy and whatever. It's still like as cheap as match ammunition anywhere else. You just can't really find ball ammo from what I can see very easily. It's like all high-end ammunition, which makes sense. If you're shooting a 6 ARC, practice your build drills with a 5.56, 14.5. I mean, I know the recoil impulse will be slightly different, but it's essentially the same thing. You can train those hard skills, and then they'll convert into the new caliber. But that's kind of where I'm at. If I can have one gun I can grab, if I don't know what I'm getting into, and then go out and have a capability to shoot from 0 out to 1,000 yards effectively with supersonic ammunition and some authority on target when it gets there, I mean, why not? That's kind of, and I feel like for the barrier to entry, because I found all these parts and I already kind of have a gun I'm willing to piece out and part out and break apart and put back together for cheap. I mean, I was holding out for a few months, several months, for the Geisley Freedom Rifle, and for them to come back in stock, for them to come down in price, for them to potentially send me one. And at this point, I'm like, man, why don't I just build one? It's more interesting. I think the vast majority of my viewers are more likely to do what I'm proposing I'm about to do than to actually go spend $2,000 or $3,500 on a rifle, which I know they've done some other things to make it like 6 ARC specific. But I'm like, hey, let's just see if it works first, and then see if I like it. And then if I want to invest more time and money and energy into it, I can. But that's kind of my idea. I also have a trigger that I haven't tried yet, SSAE, that I was thinking about throwing in this guy for that type of build that I'm really excited about. So this is just sitting here ready to go. The rest of the parts are here ready to go. So if you guys are interested in seeing something like that, let me know down in the comments. I already have the RIS3 rail, but I have been dying to try the Ripcord Industries rails because they just look amazing, and they have a built-in arc on the bottom, which is really cool. So if I did like a 12.5 or even an 18-inch, I might go with the Ripcord. This would work with an 18-inch, and just to save money, I'd probably just stick with the RIS3. I know that they are coming out with a bottom ARCA changeout, but I called Daniel Defense, and according to them, they're at least initially not going to sell these bottoms individually, which is really, really lame, Daniel Defense. Please do that, because everyone already has one of these, or even has a Block 2, RIS2. To be able to swap it out and put a RIS3 or a ARCA with a M-LOK in the middle would be freaking awesome. I think a lot of guys would really appreciate that type of aftermarket support from you guys, including myself. So if I did a 12.5, I would definitely need a new handguard, because this is a 12. Actually, no, this is a 12.5 handguard. So I guess it would work with that, just depending on. I'd have to look at it, and depending on the muzzle device and ammo I'm using. So, but other than that, guys, we've kind of already dragged this out pretty long. What are we going on? 19 minutes. that's kind of it. I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about 6 ARC, and then also what you thought about me swapping over this old kind of, I showed it no love in a long time, rifle into a 6 ARC build, and trying out a new caliber and kind of going down that path. If you guys are interested in something like that, also let me know what barrel length. That's the biggest question I have right now, and I'm leaning towards the 13.9, again, because I'm holding this gun, and from what I've seen as far as the ballistic charts go, like 14.5 is really where you get a lot or most of the energy, the powder spent, burnt out of that cartridge. But again, I'm not a ballistic, I'm not a reloader, so you guys let me know, what did I miss? What do you guys think? I love you guys. Thank you so much. If you want to support the channel, rangesaber.com. We have the Tactical Bucky shirt, Tactical Operator. We have a couple different versions of it. We have a bunch of different shirts on the website. Check out the discounts page. Save some money while you support the channel at the same time. Check out the loadouts page. If we end up doing this, this gun will definitely arrive on the loadouts page. Again, another question I have is glass. Like what kind of glass I want to put on here. I'm thinking like a 3-18, but I'm not sold yet. I want to keep it relatively lightweight for cool guy shit, high speed stuff. And again, suppressor, I'm still thinking about that as well. But anyways, that's going to be it. Love you guys. Christ is king. Drink a lot of water. Take care.